So Russet is in my arms right now, and I'm going to try to do my makeup with her in my arms right now, but I don't know how that's feasible. In fairness, it's my fault. I accidentally dropped my wig head on her, and she came to me like, "Ma'am, I want to be cuddled," and I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry." So she's in my arms. She's like, "I want to be here." So yes, if I can't, I don't know if I'll be able to do my makeup. I want to do it because I don't know if I like this hair color on me, and it's hard to tell unless I do my makeup. But I have a hand occupied by a baby. Anyway, hi everyone, it's Kendall here. If you're new around here, welcome. If you're not new around here, what is up, home skillet biscuit? Happy Saturday. If you don't know what Saturday is, it's when we do a little something called Bad Movies and a Beat. The series on my channel where I talk about bad movies while putting my makeup on, theoretically. Again, we'll see what I can get done this week, if anything. I'm so sorry, Bubba. She's fine, but she was scared. And so I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. But yes, this week I have a little hidden gem that I never knew existed. It's terrible, rest assured. I've brought it to you guys. But before we get started on that, we're going to send it over to Admiral Kennie. Thank you. Because apparently my dog needs therapy now. I'm so sorry. Hello everyone, this is Admiral Kennie, and today's video is sponsored by Foreo. Foreo is the creator of this beautiful thing here called the Luna 4, and it's my new go-to tool for my skincare routine, particularly cleansing and when I put on serums. That uses these soft silicone bristles as well as T-sonic pulsation to get in there. Side is for cleansing. Just wet your face, use your favorite cleanser, and go to town for about a minute. Always found that I struggle with getting my nose. My nose tends to hold on to a little bit more gunk. If I'm gonna break out, it tends to be in this general area, and this really gets in there to clean up all the gunks and prepare for my other skincare. And then the back has these ridges so that you can do a lymphatic massage as well as drive in any serums in order to firm the skin, tighten the skin, get rid of a bit of puffiness. The Luna 4 offers 4 different types of cleansing: gentle, regular, or deep cleansing modes, as well as 3 different types of machines. There's one for sensitive skin, which is this purple one. There's one for combination skin, which is green, and for balanced skin, which is orange. It holds a charge crazy long. You can use it like 600 times before you have to charge it again, which is why I really love it when I am traveling, so I don't have to bring extra cords. I just charge it and bring it with me, and it's just a really effective and quick way to get your face actually clean, especially if you've been wearing makeup, if you've been out in pollution, you've been sweating. They also have an app, which I thought was really cool, and I was like, what do you need an app for? But it shows you guided ways to do facial lymphatic massages, how to effectively cleanse your face in that 1 minute that it's on. It also automatically turns off when the 1 minute is up so that you're not being too aggressive to your skin. So if you would like to check out the Luna 4, hurry up and click on that link down below, because the first 100 people to do so will get 35% off their purchase. Big thanks again to Foreo for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get on to the debauchery. Oh, she doesn't want to go back to her. It's not looking good, guys. Okay, so last week we did an episode on something very forgettable, I guess. Oh, Save the Last Dance. And we kind of like unpacked that whole like genre of early 2000s dance movies. And then in the comments, y'all reminded me of so many dance movies that I completely forgot existed. Of course, all of the Bring It On movies, the Step Up movies. I actually had on my list of things to do this year, but I just hadn't got around to it, is to sit there and watch all of the Bring It On movies. It's not out of the question. It just takes a lot of time. So I don't know, if I have time in the near future that I like skip a week or something, or if I get an editor, I need to get an editor. I might get around to that because I do want to watch them all because they're iconic. But yeah, that was last week. And if you want to check that out, you can check it out up above, or you can check it out in the Bad Movies and a Beat playlist. And as for this week, we're going to talk about a movie that came to my attention via the website formerly known as Twitter, where you guys let me know that CIARA, as in this beat is automatic, supersonic, hypnotic, and funky fresh, was in a gospel musical circa 2010 called Mama, I Want to Sing. And this was a film adaptation of an off-Broadway show of the same name that came out in 1983. The film stars CIARA as a young girl raised in the church who uses her talents to break into mainstream music, become a star, much to the chagrin of her pastor mother. And it's a theme that kind of permeates a lot of early Black pop music, coming from the church and then falling into a life of sin, quote unquote, while breaking into the industry. There's an insidiousness of the industry, both because it is kind of gross and predatory, but also because it goes to be like the antithesis of this very rigid, regimented life that you have as someone who's from the church. Especially for women, there's a lot of purity and all that in how you dress, how you sing, how you perform, and in many ways, pop music is just innately not of the church, but some of the best singers have come from the church. I've mentioned before that I was raised in a pretty religious household. Can you tell? Can you see the church girl fumes wafting off of me? Is it the deranged sense of humor or the sadness behind my eyes? So in some ways, I very much so resonate with the core premise of this movie. I, in many ways, am CIARA's character. Coming into adulthood and finding that certain aspects of how you were raised doesn't resonate with you anymore, and there being like a struggle in regards to that. I resonate with, finding your own thoughts and morals that aren't explicitly those that were predestined and pre-designed by a religious body or your parents or whoever. So one would think that perhaps I would be a little softer on a movie like this because there is something relatable to it for me, but no, this movie sucks. This movie sucks balls. Contrary to what many might think, because people always find this shocking when I say this, I'm not a musical girl. I actually quite dislike them, but also perhaps a bit surprising for some of you. I do love me some gospel music, some choir music, because one, I was a choir girl in high school. I have a lot of respect for the intricacies of choir and gospel music and all of that. It's an art form. It's really beautiful. And I have no qualm saying that some of the best music, arguably, we could argue most of the best music has come in some way or another from the Black church. Occasionally, I'll start thinking of a song and I have to correct myself because I be wanting to go, bitch, but we talking about the Lord. I was singing, there's a song that I sung in choir that I've been like kind of obsessed with recently because I remembered it. It's called The Crucifixion by Adolphus Haustork. And we sung it in high school and I just happened to remember it. I was like, oh, my Lord, my Lord, my Lord. Bitch, no, don't. My Lord, my Lord. Oh, my Lord. Cunt. Oh, or maybe that, sorry. Like, it's good. Like, I don't know what you want me to say. Theoretically, I could like this movie, even though it's a musical. And the answer is no. I actually quite dislike it. Yes, ma'am. Are you cleaning my hands? Thank you. Thank you. So, again, the movie stars CIARA. Acting-wise, she's not great. But it also has, like, other people who are pretty notable as actors or singers or performers of some sort. Lynn Whitfield is in it. And she, as usual, does a really good job being, if not evil, an antagonist. Like every movie that I've ever seen her in, she's rich and evil. You want to lay down now? You got it. You lay down. She don't feel safe there no more. I'm sorry. I might be able to put a little makeup on because Russ has decided to give me some peace, but she's also started peeing on my couch again, just out of rebellion. She's like, I just want to switch it up for you. I've literally never seen her play a role in which she wasn't in some way or another an antagonist. I think it's because she, in many ways, has a very similar vibe as Jack Nicholson to me. Honestly, people got mad at me on Twitter for saying this, but she has Jack Nicholson face. That doesn't mean they look the same, is that they feel the same. Is that saying she's unattractive? No, beautiful woman. I didn't believe that Jack Nicholson was unattractive. He's just scary. And she is too. She's just scary. It's the eyebrows and the fact that they always play the villain. Patti LaBelle also plays a little cameo in the movie. And I love me some Patti, which reminded me of the Patti Pies. Oh, yeah! Patti? How did it end this way? When my parents got married in 86, she let them get into her limo. And my mother always told me that story. She was like, yep, she was very nice. She let me get in their limo. So Miss Patti, if you're watching this, I am the child they had 9 years later. So hello. But yeah, the movie's not great. The music is terrible. There's some good moments in there, but for the most part, it's pretty bad. Particularly any song that relies on CIARA. That's not a read. It's just what it is. Her songs and her performances were pretty underwhelming. Also, some of them, especially towards the later end, are very confusing. Storyline itself is pretty repetitive. It's like we could have, I could have read you I did read you what the story is about in like 4 minutes without having to do the same arguments over and over and over again. Also, speaking of CIARA, she is a peculiar choice for a movie like this. She's not a person I think of when I think of like a black church voice. And that's not to say she's not talented or a good singer. Like you wouldn't have Janet Jackson sing Aretha Franklin. It just doesn't, they just don't. That's not for them. That's not where their strength lies. And so this movie is just a very peculiar choice for a CIARA voice, but they did it. I have some sneaking suspicions that certain parts they don't even let her sing, which is again, But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. It's free on Tubi if you want to watch it, so there it is. But yes, without further ado, this is Mama. I Want to Sing 2010. So the movie begins with our main character, Doris, played by not played by CIARA yet. They pick a child that looks nothing like CIARA to play CIARA as a child. And Doris is the daughter of a preacher patriarch. He instills in her a love of music, a love of song. He can blow.
Deep down inside, it's yours all alone.
He's giving very much so. I don't remember what his name is, but he's a heavyset guy who goes like, whoa, never would have made, whoa, never. That dude. Did y'all hear when they made AI Patrick sing Never Would Have Made It?
I'm stronger. I'm wiser.
Y'all don't deserve rights. I hate y'all. Should have never gave you his AI. Anyway, what? Oh yeah, so the dad can sing. That's the type of vibe. He's like, I'm so proud. God has given you this gift, and we will use it to bless the church. But yeah, singing is the gift that Doris has been given, and the gift that her little brother has been given is he's very, very talented at photography. So this ends up being a thing that influences both of them. And Doris sings in the choir. She does solos in the choir. And I was living for the choir. Rock, rock, rock. Rock, 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 I stand, rock, believe. And then Doris goes up there and does her solo. Now, baby's a little sharp, but I'm not going to say nothing about that because God is definitely moving through her. He might be stuck in traffic, but he's coming. His time is always perfect. But more importantly, Pastor isn't feeling very well. Apparently, he had recently gone to the doctor, and his wife is a little nervous about him going up to the pulpit, but he's like, I'm fine. We'll be great. So imagine their surprise when he dropped dead on the pulpit. Sorry. I do this every video. I'm so sorry. So now the first lady ends up becoming the head of the church, something that she was never planning for. So time passes, and as Doris grows up, she, has her little rebellious streak. One of the ways in which she rebels against her mother is by meeting up with her godmother, played by Patti LaBelle, as she sings in like dive bars and like mostly jazz clubs. Something not particularly appropriate for a now 17-year-old girl. But hey, with that said, Patti does know, her name is something else in the movie, I don't care, but Patti does know that this is a place that her mother would not at all be okay with, but she wants her to sing because she has a gift and she can make it in like mainstream music if she, puts her mind to it. Now, like I said, CIARA is a good singer, but I wouldn't call her singing with Patti LaBelle style of singer. So it was pretty obvious from the get-go that this is just a weird fit. But while singing at this club, she gets the eye of like a record executive who asks her to sing for his band right after she graduates from high school. And her mother, you know, upon finding her in this club, is not okay with it, which understandable because the industry is not for a 17-year-old. The industry is full of gross, manipulative, abusive people, drugs, sex, you know, the whole nine. But beyond the, I would think, pretty reasonable concerns around like kind of the hedonistic world of show business, she seems to be also quite concerned about her just making very sinful music. Ultimately, she decides to go anyway. With the blessing of her godmother, Patti LaBelle, you know, eventually she's off and she ends up sparking a bit of a career for herself, making headway. She starts meeting people in the industry. She gets a manager. She ends up meeting a record executive named Dylan, who is one of the big movers and shakers of music at the time. I will say one of the few situations where this movie made me genuinely laugh is the first time we meet Dylan. Basically, he's known around the industry as someone who has a very good ear of finding talent, but he can't hear that he can't sing. And that was actually pretty funny. I actually legitimately laughed at that part.
You're gonna see that you must be a downhill skill.
As a side note, for the life of me, I can't remember anything I've seen this guy in. In my head, I always confuse him for the light-skinned dude from The Game, but he's not. I know he's not. Sure, again, I could look it up, but like, am I gonna do that? Absolutely not. But ultimately, over time, we get to see that as Doris's career grows and as she becomes more enmeshed with Dylan, that he ends up having quite a bit of say in her career. Namely, he ends up changing her name from Doris to a stage name Amara, which in fairness, I don't want to go to the concert of nobody named Doris, but he also has a lot of say on her overall image, how she dresses. Oh my God, I can't see shit. Okay, these are bit much for me. But outside of that, yeah, he just has a lot of influence over her. What she wears, what her image is, you know, seems to have a lot of input on what she can and can't say. He goes on some power trips. He picks fights with her management and her brother. He has a lot of say on what can and can't be on the album. And though those strains within her career are significant, it is pretty obvious that the biggest strain she has is her relationship with her still preaching mother. Since her husband's death, Lillian has again taken over the church. Feels like Amara Doris's career undermines her as a preacher because, quote unquote, if she can't control her own daughter, how is she supposed to? What the does that have to do with, like, her job isn't to control her congregation, so I don't even know how what that has anything to do with it. But I guess if her own daughter doesn't seem to be following the Lord, why should her audience follow the Lord? I don't know. I have no idea what those two things have to do with each other, but okay. But ultimately, she feels like it undermines her as a preacher because, again, her daughter is out there wilding as much as a Christian movie will let her do so. But yes, Amara kind of going her own way and Lillian trying to save face in front of her flock, who is just as judgmental as she is apparently, causes tension between the two. So my camera died, so in the meantime, I went to get my lunch that is supposed to be for tomorrow, but I'm gonna eat it right now. It's a charcuterie! And some almonds and some grapes and one of those little muffins that you used to get when you was a little kid. I also got some wine because I'm an adult now. There's obviously a lot of tension between Amara Doris and her mother. Her mother also brings kind of her animosity towards her daughter and kind of projects that onto her flock. There's this whole moment where she goes on this long tangent, slut shaming women who came to the church and are sitting in the front row. In fairness, a plunge neckline at church is kind of crazy, but also come as you are or whatever. So whatever, she come and you trying to get her saved. She does a whole number with the choir and everything saying stop being hoes. But anyway, the family, Lillian, the mom, Amara Doris, and the brother all end up having breakfast together, and this is just a reoccurring theme of them trying to get together and have a family moment just for them to start arguing about how mama thinks you're a whore. I don't say exactly that, but in so many words, you're up there gyrating and shaking and wearing sexy clothes, and your father would be so disappointed in you. Ugh, you've changed. Where's the sweet Christian girl that I used to know? So obviously their relationship is very contentious. However, because they're so focused on fighting each other, the brother kind of just falls through the cracks. The only thing we really see him doing is being overshadowed by his mother and sister and taking pictures of people. And that's because that's essentially all he does. And that's something to his own disappointment. He wants to do more with his photography, and so he gets the opportunity to do more when he's offered a photojournalism job. However, the job is in Baghdad in the midst of the Iraq War. So obviously when he tells his grandfather about it, the grandfather wants to encourage him, but he's also just really scared because he's going to be in like active war zones doing photography. The brother really wants to do something with his life instead of just taking photos for his mother and sister. And so when this came up, I said immediately, this gonna die, because he's had no character development outside of just being in the shadow of his sister and mother. The only thing we've seen him do is take photos. He ain't sung one song, so they haven't really built him up to be a character outside of this. Probably just gonna be a mechanism whose death brings them together and realize that life is short and there's more important things than, you know, arguing about what length of dress you wear or whatever. Another conflict in this movie is that Preacher Mama, is trying to go national, having some struggles with her network that broadcasts her show because they're considering her for syndication, but they're trying to see if she can handle it, right? And on this particular episode of her show, they bring in Smokey Norfolk, who made that song. This is a very Black church specific song. It went wild in my church. Smokey Norfolk, I Need You Now. It's a beautiful song. Not a second, not another minute, not an hour, not another day. I lift my hands to thee. Come rescue me. I need you right away. Anyway, Mama bring him on the show and plans to have a spontaneous moment with him in which he breaks out in song and the Lord moves in the room.
I need you now.
I can't believe you're singing that song right now, Smokey.
And she wanted to use that as a situation where she is the only person that can get these truly raw and unexpected moments, even though she explicitly planned to do this beforehand. As Amara Doris and Preacher Mama are going through their issues, the little brother is just there in the shadow of their existence. He's their on-call photographer. This makes him more and more ready to do something completely independent of them. And it would seem that he's ultimately reached the conclusion that he's going to take the job. He eventually tells Amara Doris, and she is like, ain't no way in hell you could take that job. But eventually he's able to get her to kind of understand where he's coming from. But he does admit that he hasn't told their mother yet, because that would absolutely break her. There was something so immensely nostalgic about eating cheese and crackers with two hands. Very happy right now. Preacher Mama is losing focus. She's too focused on syndication. She's too focused on the politics and economics of the church, of the network. So much so that she's starting to lose focus on why she's a preacher. Theoretically, it's to talk about God or whatever. But she seems to be getting more focused on like how many people are specifically following her. Something that her assistant or somebody, we don't know who her name's Holly. They never tell us what she does. But she's brave enough to really bring to her attention, like, you're losing focus. This isn't even about God anymore. It's about you. And though she's seemingly insulted, she does kind of get where she's coming from. It makes her think. Grandpa ends up telling Mama Preacher before the son got the chance to tell him that he going to Baghdad. She's like, why didn't I even know this? I feel like I'm losing touch with my children. They barely talk to me. Granddad is like, well, have you tried talking to them and with them instead of preaching at them? That might help. Does she do that? Absolutely not. She goes up to the son. She tells him, you're not going to do it. You're not going to do that. You got to tell him that you're turning it down. And he's like, no, I'm taking it. Did you even pray before you took it? We're going to all pray together tonight, you, me, and your sister. So that brings them together for a meal. They have the same arguments again between Amara Doris and Mama. It escalates. He starts taking pictures of them mid-fight for some reason. He's like, I'm so tired of us fighting. Can we please make peace? And I'm like, yeah, this ain't gonna make it. Now, if you haven't noticed, I haven't talked much about the songs. Not because there isn't constant singing. Everyone's always singing. But because the singing doesn't push any narrative forward. It's just sounds all the time. And it's incredibly annoying. And there's not really much to opine on, really. But I will bring to your attention one particular song that CIARA sings at this point, or I should say someone sings. I don't think it's CIARA.
Sing about our family, all of the good times and the
like, this is not her singing. Why would they do this? Why would they? She's a singer.
I wanna see. I wanna see.
They let her sing the end note. That was her. She is, what in the J-Lo is going on? And it was very confusing because it's like this big momentous song, right? I think it's supposed to be this, like, everything's building up to this song about her exerting who she is and that she's her own person now. She's making her own way now. And it's like, that ain't even her, ironically. As for Mama, they bring in a young teenager-ish girl to sing for the show. And before she starts, the assistant goes out to talk to her, and the execs or somebody on the outside are seeing them talk to each other before the show. And they seem to be more impressed with her in that moment than Preacher Mama the entire time she's been on television. Instead of giving her the syndication, they give the syndication to this woman who has literally no experience preaching, no experience on TV. They're like, this random 25-year-old white girl. Absolutely, that's who we're going with. And then Amara Doris, in a way that kind of mirrors her mother, she seems to be getting kind of pushed out by a new artist, and this makes her kind of act out a bit. But in fairness, that's not the only thing that's like on her mind. She's having nightmares about her brother out in the war zone taking pictures, and she's really scared for him. But still, she continues on working. She even kind of does a collab, or attempts to do a collab with the new artist. They kind of force her to do a collab with the new artist, and they sound absolutely terrible.
Stop being. Hold on a second.
And just when things seemingly cannot get any worse, they find out that the brother is not dead, but has been kidnapped. So they send a message to him via TV, and this is by far the worst acting CIARA's done the entire movie.
Look, if you're watching, know how much we love you.
Which is saying something, honestly. But him getting kidnapped seems to bring them together. So each in their respective fields, they want to talk about the situation that the brother is in. Before the mom goes out to preach, the network exec comes in, and she says, you cannot talk about the war because their viewers are conservative, and her anti-war comments were seen as too strong.
That you can stand here in front of me and talk about a political position when my son's life is in jeopardy.
And I have a job to do. Beverly, shut up.
Tale as old as time. So they fight over that, and eventually she ends up going up there and giving a message about love and how it doesn't judge, and how it makes her realize that she has judged her children for their choices, and she doesn't want to make excuses for herself anymore. She wants to apologize to her children and say how proud she is of both of them, and she's gonna leave the rest to God. So I'm sitting there's only like 5 minutes left of the movie, if that, and I'm like, damn, maybe I'm wrong, maybe he won't die, because it would seem like a bit of a bummer, because there's not much left in the movie to kind of end it with, by the way, he did. Well, what a bummer it is when the army comes to the door and they're like, yeah, that dead. They start crying. They start doing the though I'll walk through a shadow of death prayer. And fast forward 9 months, they've made a community center in his memory, and people keep singing. And I'm like, damn, can we wrap it up? Okay. All right, and the movie ends with them both seeing his ghost taking pictures of them at the end. This movie fucking sucked. This movie could have definitely been an email. We didn't need to do all this. Y'all brought a whole crew in here and everything. Y'all brought out Patti LaBelle and Lynn Whitfield. Wasting they damn time. But yeah, that's all for today, folks. I hate this hair color on me. I think I'm gonna dye it green. That's what I do with every light hair that I don't like. I just dye it green. But yeah, that's all for today, folks. If you like today's video, feel free to like it or whatever. Follow me on all my social media. Instagram and Twitter, both of which are KennieJD. If you have bad movies that you think I should watch, you should put them down in the comment section. I'd really appreciate it. And I will see you guys next time.